There are moments in history when a single thought bends the future. In 1936, a young mathematician named Alan Turing looked into the heart of logic and imagined a machine that could think. It wasn't made of wires or switches or light. It existed only in theory. A machine that could read symbols, follow instructions, and simulate any computation. He called it the universal machine. With this idea, Turing reached beyond mathematics and touched the fabric of intelligence itself. Long before the age of silicon, before the digital revolution or the word computer meant anything at all, he laid the foundation. This is the story of a quiet genius, a man who helped win a war and birthed a new universe of thought. This is the story of Alan Turing. Turing was born in Maida Vale, London, while his father, Julius Matheson Turing, was on leave from his position with the Indian Civil Service, ICS, of the British Raj government at Chhatrapur, then in the Madras Presidency and presently in Odisha state, in India. Turing's father was the son of a clergyman, the Reverend John Robert Turing, from a Scottish family of merchants that had been based in the Netherlands and included a baronet. Turing's mother, Julius's wife, was Ethel Sarah Turing, née Stoney, daughter of Edward Waller Stoney, chief engineer of the Madras Railways. The Stoneys were a Protestant Anglo-Irish gentry family from both County Tipperary and County Longford, while Ethel herself had spent much of her childhood in County Clare. Julius and Ethel married on 1 October 1907 at the Church of Ireland St. Bartholomew's Church on Clyde Road in Ballsbridge, Dublin. Julius's work with the ICS brought the family to British India, where his grandfather had been a general in the Bengal Army. However, both Julius and Ethel wanted their children to be brought up in Britain, so they moved to Maida Vale, London, where Alan Turing was born on 23 June 1912, as recorded by a blue plaque on the outside of the house of his birth, later the Colonnade Hotel. Turing had an elder brother, John Ferrier Turing, father of Dermot Turing, 12th Baronet of the Turing Baronets. In 1922, he discovered Natural Wonders Every Child Should Know by Edwin Tenney Brewster. He credited it with opening his eyes to science. Turing's father's civil service commission was still active during Turing's childhood years, and his parents traveled between Hastings in the United Kingdom and India, leaving their two sons to stay with a retired army couple. Turing's parents enrolled him at St. Michael's, a primary school at 20 Charles Road, St. Leonards-on-Sea, from the age of 6 to 9. The headmistress recognized his talent, noting that she had clever boys and hard-working boys, but Alan is a genius. In 1926, at the age of 13, he went on to Sherborne School, an independent boarding school in the market town of Sherborne in Dorset, where he boarded at Westcott House. The first day of term coincided with the 1926 general strike in Britain, but Turing was so determined to attend that he rode his bicycle unaccompanied 60 miles, 97 kilometers, from Southampton to Sherborne, stopping overnight at an inn. Turing's natural inclination towards mathematics and science did not earn him respect from some of the teachers at Sherborne, whose definition of education placed more emphasis on the classics. His headmaster wrote to his parents, "I hope he will not fall between two stools. If he is to stay at public school, he must aim at becoming educated. If he is to be solely a scientific specialist, he is wasting his time at a public school. Despite this, Turing continued to show remarkable ability in the studies he loved, solving advanced problems in 1927 without having studied even elementary calculus. In 1928, aged 16, Turing encountered Albert Einstein's work. Not only did he grasp it, but it is possible that he managed to deduce Einstein's questioning of Newton's laws of motion from a text in which this was never made explicit. At Sherborne, he learned more from the margins than the lessons. He pondered time and motion while others recited lines of Latin. What he didn't expect was connection. And in the next chapter of his life, that connection would bring both inspiration and heartbreak. At Sherborne, Alan Turing found more than academic inspiration. He found Christopher Morcom. Brilliant, curious, and gentle, Morcom shared Alan's love for the stars, for logic, for wonder. It was a friendship full of spark, and for Alan, something more. Some would later call Christopher his first love, but just as the connection was taking shape, it was gone. In February 1930, Christopher died suddenly, a complication from tuberculosis, contracted years earlier through tainted milk. The grief was devastating. In a letter to Christopher's mother, Alan wrote, "I am sure I could not have found anywhere another companion so brilliant and yet so charming and unconceited. I know I must put as much energy, if not as much interest, into my work as if he were alive, because that is what he would like me to do." Alan continued to write to Mrs. Morcom for years, on birthdays, anniversaries, moments of memory. One letter, written on the eve of the 3rd anniversary of Christopher's death, reads, "I expect you will be thinking of Chris when this reaches you. I shall too. I am sure that he is as happy now as he was when he was here. Your affectionate, Alan." The loss didn't stop him. It deepened him. He poured his pain into science, into seeking truth not just in equations, but in the nature of existence. In another letter, Alan confided his evolving beliefs. "Personally, I believe that spirit is really eternally connected with matter. When the body dies, the mechanism of the body is gone, and the spirit finds a new body sooner or later, perhaps immediately." Christopher Morcom's death marked the end of Alan's childhood and the beginning of his search for answers that could not be found in books alone. By the time Alan Turing arrived at King's College, Cambridge in 1931, he had already begun to see mathematics not just as numbers, but as the language of logic, structure, and the mind itself. At Cambridge, Turing flourished. He wasn't simply a student, he was chosen a Fellow of King's at just 22. He explored quantum mechanics, probability theory, and most deeply, the limits of what could be known and what could be calculated. He was captivated by a single question: can we mechanize thought itself? This wasn't philosophical musing. Turing attacked it with mathematics. In 1936, in a quiet paper titled "On Computable Numbers with an Application to the Entscheidungsproblem," Turing introduced a concept the world had never seen before: a hypothetical machine, simple, elegant, unstoppable, that could read symbols on a tape, move left or right, and follow a set of logical rules. It could compute anything that could be computed, given time and memory. We now call it the Turing machine, the foundation of all modern computing. It wasn't a real machine, not yet. It lived on paper, but it would one day live inside every computer, every algorithm, every line of code.